Greetings. Welcome to Safe Space Talks Mind Mastery one more time and again. I got my brother on the line with me. I tell you, I got all my strong black men rocking with me. I appreciate y'all. Y'all know that. Courtney McNeil, also known aka the Lord's Pawn. He's been doing amazing things, very active in the community and church. And today we're just going to talk about him and dealing with stress as a black man, a husband, a father, and how he definitely incorporates Christ in all of that. But just, letting the other brothers know that you can get through this, okay? You can get through this, okay? Because you can. So let's start with just being a black man in America. Some of the trials and tribulations you have had just out in the streets before being a father and a husband, and some of the things you had to deal with, peer pressure, hanging out with the fellas, and then transfer that into now becoming a husband, if you will.
Okay, so first of all, grace and peace. Thank you for having me. I'm like extremely humble, to even be, in the circles that I find myself in, yourself included. I give God all the glory first and foremost,
Yes.
you know, and honestly, like from it's so much to be said. By the way, I don't know why it's only half an hour. I could talk, but no, but not honestly and truthfully, like yeah, I born and raised Brooklyn, New York. I mean,
Brooklyn.
all day, every day, still rap Brooklyn hard, you know. But yeah, I mean, I've been around some of the wildest, grew up in some of the craziest of environments. You talking about Brooklyn in the '80s,
Right.
crack,
Right.
AIDS, all kinds of things. I mean, my life. You know how they say in church. I don't. I shouldn't even be here. But yeah,
Come on.
you
Come
know,
on.
I've seen all of that. And I talk about this type of stuff, I like to make sure that it's understood that I'm in no way bragging. It is not
Right.
by my
Right.
own means that I'm here at all. But yeah, I've almost lost my life several times over, from regular fist fights to being shot at and stuff like that. And I don't glorify any of it. One of the more traumatic incidents that I can remember is somebody I knew, wasn't a close friend or anything, but literally ran right past me. And moments later, you talking about not even a full 60 seconds past, you hear pop, pop, pop. And I come around the corner and I see same person that just ran past me laying on the floor, and not to be too graphic, but literally
Right.
in
Right.
a pool of his blood looking up at me with a bullet in his head, but he's not dead.
Wow.
And he looks at me and catches my face, and I'm like just stunned. And I'm a teenager at the time,
Right.
and the crazy part about it is that that's not my first time seeing somebody shot.
Yeah.
So that, but glory be to God, I actually seen him several years later alive, in a
Amen.
wheelchair, but he was on a talk show talking about the pitfalls of the streets and
Right.
stuff like that. And when I think about stories like that, I think about how even when I wasn't with God, how God was always with me.
Always with you. Yeah.
you know, because I could have been that person. Like you talking about, not even even if I wasn't the target, I could have still been involved
Right.
in that incident. And it was literally moments of me just being separated from that. And that's one of like really a boatload of stories that I am grateful to God that, even though some of them are not as even as pretty as that,
But let me
but
ask you,
I'm still here.
yeah, and let me ask you,
Yeah.
because so many have witnessed that, lived that life, and we never get to just ask you, or ask the individual, because this is about mental health. Did you realize any change in your mindset or behavior after that incident? Did you know
Okay.
that maybe you needed therapy or not? Or how did you feel like your life changed? Because we talk here on Safe Space Talks. Go see the other videos, please. We've talked about the mind and the heart, the brain, the gut, everything. But what I want to do now is just kind of revisit, like, we've been through some things, and then we transfer these things not knowing that we need help. If you can remember, if when they say hindsight 2020, like now, you're mature, you're grown, you've been through some other life lessons. But as that teenager, as Courtney the teenager, did you realize anything had transpired after seeing that or dealing with those kind of events?
Well, that's really loaded, and I want to once again warn people because I'm very transparent,
No,
and what I'm about to
that's what
say,
we do here.
what I'm about to say.
Anytime you're dealing with Nigeria Anderson, we're bringing it to you. This is why it's not a monetized channel, because
Hmm.
we don't want you to tell us what we can and cannot say. We're not going to be crazy, but we do want to give you the truth. So, ta-da! And for those who say, people who are doing podcasts and YouTube channels are broke, I'm not broke, just FYI. But go ahead. That's why I don't even have to monetize it. But go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's dope. That's dope. That's why you one of my go tos. I know I could call on you for almost anything, and I love that about you.
And
But
we got
yeah,
from WKPS, we can't keep quiet. So I gotta own it.
still key players.
I
It's all
gotta
about the
own
key
it.
players all day.
You know what I'm saying? So you can't tell me what
That's
to say and not to say. I gotta own it. All right, go ahead.
but it's but I'm gonna be honest with you. It's really about how people see me because the people in the circles that I run in now, they don't know who I used to be.
Right,
When they just like if they knew where I came from and what God brought me through, all of that. But I had some ugly moments within myself.
hmm
That same moment, that same incident, I should say, I went upstairs. I recognized, that was kind of crazy and whatnot. And, I was also very depressed at the time. I was
Wow.
actually also wasn't diagnosed, but I recognized at a later stage that even though I did actually try to commit suicide at one time, only once, but it was a road leading to that, and this was and a road after that, I should say, and
Right,
this was a part of that. But I
right,
went
right.
home. I went home at that time, and I knew I needed to be alone, even though I knew I didn't know how to process the situation. But considering the environment, everybody was tough, everybody was a gangster, everybody was all of this. So, you couldn't really speak to anybody. You couldn't, show any kind of weakness. That
Right,
stuff was really real.
right.
And I was never a tough guy. But, like my mother said, she wasn't raising no punk. I was always far from a punk, but I never tried to play the tough guy. But that being said, like it was a very horrible incident that I don't necessarily regret it, but I'm definitely one of the lowest points in my life because I was actually looking for that self-medication
Right. That's
at
good.
the time.
That's good. That's good.
That's really what I was looking for. But what happened is that I was actually challenged in the midst of that. And because I never played the tough guy, they would always push until I pushed back.
Right. Right.
And in the midst of that, while I'm in my home, somebody very close to me, a female I might add, thought it was okay to jump in my face and did it one too many times.
Right.
And I didn't and I responded in a non-political manner.
Right. Right.
And truth be told, my mother always told me, don't lay your hands on a woman. There's no
Right.
real man to ever lay his hands on a woman. But if a woman jumps in your face like a man, knock her behind out like a man. Now I know that's not too Christian and
It's
that's not
okay. It's
political,
okay. It's okay.
but you're talking about like a 15, 16-year-old highly traumatic situation.
Right,
This
right,
is the culture and the environment that I was in, all of the anger, like really bent up and resurfaced, mind you. When
right,
you speak to psychologists, they tell you all the time, if you don't deal with your feelings and your emotions, they'll build up.
right,
And what happens is that every time a new incident happens, all the old emotions show up as well. So it wasn't just that crazy situation. It was like everything that showed up. And yeah, so when this female jumped in, put her hands in my face, I responded out of anger and frustration. And I laid hands and it wasn't pretty.
right, right,
And never something that I'm happy about, but I'm also know that I'm free from it because I can talk about it.
right,
And I
right,
think that's something that a lot of us don't. We try to not talk about things, thinking that in some way that makes it better.
right.
But I could talk about the grace of God and how He
Come
saved
on,
me and
sir.
how He made me and how He put me in a position. At the
Right,
same time, I could talk about where He brought me from
right, right,
because I still get angry, but I know I could lean on Him, and I know that I've gotten better tools to deal with those things now.
right.
So I honestly do hope that this helps not just some of the older men, but even more so some of the younger men, if they are blessed to actually hear this. That I would love for them to be blessed to look and see that it's different ways to deal with your stress and anger, and but what you really got to do is acknowledge that it's there
Come
first.
on. That's
So
good. That's good.
it was even after that. I didn't even recognize it at the time. I knew it was a problem. I knew it was a problem. I knew that was not something that I wanted to do. But I also didn't have the tools to do something else.
Right, right. And
So,
that's fair. That's fair.
you
Now we're
know,
gonna move into, marriage, finding the one who I love. That's my girl. And you know, were you equipped? Did you, and what did you think marriage was like? What was your, coming from that kind of background, right? And I always say we watch too much TV and we think love is what we see on TV, and until you understand God's love, you don't know what love is. And both of y'all are Christians though, so I'm sure that played a major role in the union and understanding covenant. But did you have some residue when you said I do? Y'all know me. Y'all know I got jokes.
I love it. I love it. So here's me being completely transparent again. My lovely wife, who I'm married to now, is actually my second wife.
Uh huh.
I have four lovely children, and my two oldest happens to be with my first wife, who I married well before I was a Christian, but
Right.
in the midst of me searching and seeking my faith, because I
Mm-hmm.
had it was a road travel to me being where I am now, and you know I learned a lot from my first marriage.
Okay.
I don't. That's another thing that I don't regret. I
Right.
made a lot of mistakes in that. It took a lot of growth in that. But when it comes to my current wife, I actually went into the relationship. She'll tell you I didn't even want to call her my girlfriend. I didn't want to put no labels on it. I wasn't there yet, and I wasn't even saved when I met her. I hope she don't beat me up because of this, but she kind of didn't lead with the fact she was a Christian either, because she was still maturing.
Right.
So
Right.
we
I
was just
love it.
hanging out for a little bit.
Uh huh.
You know, we was just hanging out for a little bit, and I remember I knew it was different. One, and you know what? I'm gonna lay it on the table now. Here's weird scenario, and not everybody don't know this about me. I knew that she was the one when I
I love
told
it.
her that after I found Christ, that I felt like the Spirit of the Lord was telling me to go finalize my previous marriage,
Okay.
because we were separated, but we still weren't divorced yet.
Right.
And my Lord told me in not so many words that I can't start this without first finishing that.
Ending that. Right. Right.
So I had to go back to that. And when I told her very simple and plain. I said, before we even, because I'm starting to feel some kind of way, and before we do that, I need to make sure that if only for my kids' sake, that that's not an issue. Because
Right.
God forbid we grow, and
Right.
now I still have issues with that. So I was much more mature at the time, but I was actually now following the leading of the Lord. And what the
Amen.
Lord really did for me, He showed me when she told me that as much as I don't want you to go back, you wouldn't be the person that I care about if I didn't want you to go back, if I didn't respect the fact that you wanted to go back.
Right. Right. Right.
And it was at that time that I was pissed with myself because I was like, before I made the decision, I should have actually spent more time with her. But I knew that if she was willing to let me go back, then that it was something much more special about her than I even recognized.
Right. Right.
But to cut to the new, when I did end up getting to the point where I knew I wanted to marry her, that's when I started getting a lot of good feedback because I now was in a better circle.
Come
I had
on.
much better
Yeah.
surroundings.
Yeah.
So I had a couple of really good people in my life that would actually pull me to the side and tell me stuff like, you don't ever have to let the what you call it, the newlywed season end. Don't believe that.
Right.
Don't ever stop dating. Don't ever stop
Right. Right.
being a newlywed. And I got some really deep advice as well when they would say that, listen, marriage is ministry and ministry is work.
Right.
Never stop working at your marriage.
Good
And
stuff.
still to this day, we talking about 16 years later. We just this month we made 16 years. Glory be to God. And
Amen. Amen.
it is that advice is more valuable now than it ever was before.
Right. Right.
Because that's the problem. People think that marriage is like the happily ever after. No, that's the happily beginning.
I love it. I love it.
Beginning. You know what I mean? You were very happy and everything at the beginning, and now you gotta push, and now you gotta press, and now you gotta work, and now you gotta serve each other and you gotta serve together. And that's
That's
not
right.
a
I
and
love
when
it.
and for those who are thinking about getting married or even challenged in their marriage, I would I would encourage you to revisit that
Yeah.
and make sure that you are doing your part because you have to put the work in. It's a
Have
reason
you
why
gone to
God
marriage therapy? Have you ever
to be honest with
couples
you,
therapy
I
or
went to I went to counseling before we got married,
okay.
but I'm not that well learned, but I do have an associate's degree in pastoral ministries,
Hmm.
and in that teaching and that education, we had to go over ourselves some marriage counseling.
Okay.
So I had to institute some form of marriage counseling that I would give, and I had the actual opportunity of counseling people. And if anybody knows anything about ministry, the Lord will deal with you first before He gives you something to give to somebody else.
Right.
So I went all the way there with it. And, the Lord did bless me with a couple of people that, I was able to minister to. And, it's all the glory due to Him. But I like to believe that they are in a better place after that,
Right.
and
Right.
it's only because of what He has shown me and what
Right.
He has actually revealed to me in regard to marriage. But I'm all for all kinds of counseling. You need somebody objective to actually see things from the outside a lot.
Right.
And we got to get past all of those stigmas about
Come
people
on,
getting in your
sir.
business.
Right.
I don't want nobody in my
Not to
business.
use
You
your
can't tell me
shoes.
nothing about nothing. And I'm like, you need somebody in your business because that's the reason why you have problems now. Because you doing things your own way. You
Oh my
we
goodness.
gotta
Yes. 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 Yes.
I'm just saying, like, if what we were doing was so great, we wouldn't have all the challenges that we have. So let's get
Yeah.
some different eyes, a different perspective, and the counseling and advice is just that. It's not
Right.
law.
Right. Right.
You can take it and you can make it your own.
Right.
You
Right.
can adapt it to your personal situation.
Mm-hmm.
When the preacher gives a sermon, you take the meat, you throw away the
You know
bone.
it bones. Right.
Same thing,
Right. Right. Right.
same
Right.
principle.
Right.
If it don't fit you, it don't fit you. But you do need to see somebody who is learned, somebody who
Right.
has some wisdom,
That's the
and you
key
need to get a
word.
different perspective. Because
Yeah.
trust me,
Wisdom.
when I when I would talk to people about the challenges I had in my first marriage, they be like, "Yo, forget her. Let's go to the bar and hang out, introducing me to women and stuff like that." How was that supposed to help my marriage? Now, when I talk to people, they be like, "Listen, I'm gonna pray for you. I'm gonna give you a few scriptures you gotta read
I
with. I'm gonna
love
turn my
it.
plate down for you." They give me other because I'm not so far gone that I don't seek wise counsel.
That's all right. Now, all these components, you are dropping jewels, and we have a few more minutes. Now, we talked about the young Courtney. We got to the mature Courtney. How has the mature Courtney now incorporate being a father? And you
Let me
have
tell you,
boys. And you have boys. So bring that, because you're a black man with
like
black young children, black
I
male
got I
children,
got a lot. I got a lot to say about this subject. That like
and you
and
have
it's no
a
disrespect.
daughter.
It's no disrespect to my marriage, but the most challenging area in my life is being a good father. And
Okay,
I'm the stereotypical child. I didn't grow up with my father in my life. In fact,
right,
I always tell this story so people can get a grasp of where my mindset is. Is
right.
that one time when I was about, I think I was 15 years old, and I literally walked past my father in the Albee Square Mall, downtown Brooklyn, Fulton Mall, if y'all know about that. But I literally walked right past my father like this,
Wow,
like we almost touched shoulders. And he looked me dead in my face and kept on walking because he didn't recognize me.
wow, wow.
That's where I came from.
Wow.
Fast forward, I remember I was saved up, when my oldest son is 26 now. When I'm sorry, I said 26. No, that's my daughter. He's 22 now. And we had our episodes, it was a little challenging trying to be that father figure with him
Right,
living in another state and only seeing him sometime. But glory to God, he was he's professing Christian. My oldest daughter, who I still claim, she's not my biological, but I still claim her because I
right,
was there from the beginning.
right,
I was there
right,
before she was born, so
right,
she
right,
is mine. And I still love her to life. The real challenge is being a father to young black men because I can relate to that. But being a Christian father, being a black father, they all gives you a whole bunch of different kinds of challenges.
right,
And I gave everything to God, and my constant prayer to God is to help me raise God fearing men who are very comfortable in their Christianity and very comfortable in their masculinity. Help me,
right.
Holy Ghost. And I think that the Lord is doing that. And it's probably the most challenging thing that I consistently go through in life. And
Okay.
I remember one episode, because shout out to Good Fight Coalition. Those is my brothers. That's a non-for-profit organization that I became a part of, a founding member of, in fact. And when the whole George Floyd stuff was going on,
Yeah.
I had an episode with my youngest son, who's now 14, but he was about 10.
Okay.
And the cops pulled me over, no reason. And, right, I'm like literally around the corner from my church where
Right.
I'm an ordained minister and everything.
Right.
And I see the cop, and I noticed the cop actually came into the church before, but he didn't
Oh,
know it was me because, of course, I'm not suited and
right.
booted. I
Right.
don't have the collar on and all of that, And to make a long story short, what really turned the tables is his partner goes to the back window and
Right.
bangs on the back window of my car where my son is. And I turn around and my son is crying because he thinks that he might lose his dad.
Right, right, right,
So, I flipped out a little bit and let them know what it is. Eventually, they end up giving me a ticket because they say I didn't allow a pedestrian to walk across the street. I didn't. I was just so thankful that myself and my son was safe.
right.
So I just left it at that. But yeah, between that and even now, and I know I'm trying not to be too long with it, but that's what it is with raising sons. But I also got a daughter who's
Right.
3 who also has special needs, and that's a whole nother um a boatload of issues that come with being an advocate for that
Right.
child who still is not audible and still
Right.
has all of these other special needs. And I'll be honest with you, I think that we need to be more comfortable with addressing mental health issues as well as what it's like to have a loved one who has special needs and dealing with them and stuff like that, because I think that those things go overlooked not just in our community and the
Absolutely.
church and areas like that. And
Absolutely.
it's something to be said when you always are concerned about your child and raising them, but it's a whole nother level. And I'm talking about exponentially more serious of worry and challenges and stuff like that. Once again, when your daughter is my daughter 3 years old, and we still trying to get her to eat orally.
Right. Right.
So you look past those things, you take those things for granted, but they carry a whole load of stress that most people are just not even aware of.
Right. And I can imagine, and this is one thing I'm consistent with this with Safe Space Talks is we cannot dismiss people who have issues or are being challenged. And the platform that has been developed here is so that we can be transparent, so we can share, so people know they're not alone. A lot of people think that it's just me and I'm just the one going through this and nobody understands. But I promise you we do. And this is why we want you to join Safe Space Talks, because we have created, as you see as you watch the videos, a safe space. And you can give me all the terminology, you can say whatever you want to say, but until you have experience, you're not really equipped to really share. And it's just like AA, you right, or everybody in the room, they're discussing their addiction to alcohol, right? So at Safe Space Talks, we're here and we're talking about real issues that affect us. Watching the news, constantly seeing all this, the wars, the threats, inflation, our own personal issues. Not all of us have been so blessed like you, Courtney, to know we need help, give the help, seek the help, and mature and keep going to get help, because it never ends. I always say, as long as you got breath in your body and you're alive, you're growing. It just depends
Amen.
on how you're growing, right? Salvation is because you made a choice of where you want to go and how you want to live, right? You don't want to keep living that same life that
Facts.
hasn't brought you no fruit. My God. You want to live a life, right, where you're producing fruit,
Fruit.
right?
Come
Fruit
on. Come
multiple.
on. Come on.
So,
Come
we just want everyone to know that you're not alone. You know, there's help. Let me put my suicide thing up there. There's numbers to call, there's people out there. Again, we're building a real situation, because I always tell, when I was going through post-traumatic stress syndrome, I'm calling, it's January 5th and they're saying I can't see someone until February 26th. Am I supposed to just be crazy from January to February 26th, right? So do they, I was watching a video and Diddy was saying they're not going to help us. We got to help each other. But I've been hearing that so long. I've been doing Urban Buzz magazine for over 20 years. And you see the pictures, you see the people I'm with. I don't have a problem asking for help, or do you want to be on the show? Or how can we work together? And it saddens me that, that unity everybody's talking about, when Paramount can say, I will put BET on the shelf before I let Byron Allen, Tyler Perry, or Diddy buy it. We are we're really far behind. You know, instead of letting a wealthy black person make a purchase, and we that goes back to the Bill Cosby and Magic Johnson.
See,
If you guys are not really
mhm,
paying attention, I really don't care. That's why I have my own piece of the pie, and I have people who really care to join me because I don't have time. I don't. I'm not in here to be famous. I'm here because there's a call in my life to help people, and then being a Christian woman, that's what we got to do. We got to help and love one another, and it saddens me, but I will keep charging forth saying, hey guys, let's go, let's go.
yes,
I
Lord.
will champion. I will be Safe Space Talks. I will be Urban Buzz Magazine. I will be WKPS Radio, and everywhere I am, God is. And so, for
Amen.
all of those
Mhm,
who know him, uh, the Bible is clear. It says, and my people will know each other. And so the people you see me hanging
mhm.
out with,
Yeah,
people
that's right.
we serve the same God. And I'll keep it like that. We serve the same God. And I thank you so much for coming on and sharing. And any
Amen.
last words? Anything you got coming up that you want to share with the peoples?
You know, first of all, I give shout out to Apostolic Temple of Jesus Christ, my home church, Bishop Pastor McKnight, who is still my leader right now. I say that to say because I don't know where the Lord is taking me, but the Lord is encouraging me to do more ministry, and I want anybody that hear this pray for me because I don't desire to be famous, nor do I desire even to have a title or anything of that nature. But I do have a strong desire to serve. And
Amen.
as the Lord has given me a vision, and I want to do whatever, I want to make sure that I do my part. He didn't say that I would be successful. He didn't say that, that I would be famous or anything like that. But he did say that I had a purpose. And I just want to ask if you see anything by the name of Zealous Ministries, make sure that you tune in, give me some feedback, anything like that, because in some way, shape, form, or fashion, we're gonna get through with get through to people and help people increase with introduce them to Jesus,
Amen.
help cultivate their relationship with Jesus, and help them live out their passion and their purpose in Jesus' name.
In
So just
Jesus'
keep me
name.
in prayer because I'm going through a big transition in my life, which is causing a whole lot of other stress. But if anything, listen, Jesus is real. If you don't know him, get to know him. If you want to discuss somebody about him, you see my information. I'm definitely available. All I'm gonna do is give you what the Bible say, and we could talk through it because I don't have the answers, but I do know somebody that do.
You
Amen.
better preach, sir. Can we just all agree with that part? That we don't always have the answers, but we know who does.